Hi everyone. Well, I am an avid traveler and also a collector of aviation paraphernalia, and I've collected a great deal of this over the years, and I just wanted to share with you a sampling from my collection. So I thought we'd start today with the things that you would find in the seat pocket in front of you when you fly commercially. We have a collection of flight safety information cards, as well as a couple of seat operation cards and air sickness bags. So if we take a look at the flight safety cards, there's one on Southwest Airlines 737 fleet. There's another one from JetBlue and their E190 series aircraft. And then a couple of cards from the Continental Airlines era prior to its merger with United. One from the 737-300 series mainline aircraft, and another one from Continental Express, their commuter jet arm, probably operated by Express Jet Airlines. And then we have a couple of cards that instruct you how to operate your seat. This one was from the 777 on Continental Airlines in their business first cabin. This is the old recliner seat prior to the refurb that led to the lie flat seats that you see today. And a similar recliner type seat from the same era on Lufthansa. And then there are a couple of flight sickness bags, one from Song Airlines, which was Delta Airlines' low-cost carrier for a number of years, and then one from Air China. Another thing that I collect are in-flight menus, which accompany the in-flight meals. And I have a diverse collection from a number of different airlines. First one here is Lufthansa business class. And I'll just open this one where you can take a quick look. I've also laid out a few menus from Continental Airlines and eventually United Airlines, and we can see how those menus have evolved over the years. These menus in the middle here were from a flight that offered Global First, which is a premium cabin above the business cabin that is now being phased out, and it actually has its own wine and bar service menu with premium wine offerings. You can also see how menus have evolved over the years at Delta Airlines in their business elite cabin, now known as Delta One. For a number of years they had Michelle Bernstein as an in-flight executive chef. And this menu is from an era in which they tried to describe wines in terms of their comparison to musical works. And then we have a couple of menus from other international carriers, Air France and Air Canada. And this is, I believe this is from an intra-European flight from Paris to some destination within continental Europe. And now we're going to take a look at amenity kits, which are usually provided to passengers on long-haul international flights in premium cabins, and they contain things like toiletries, items that would be of use to passengers while in flight. And I have quite an extensive collection of amenity kits, but what I've laid out today, again in chronological order, is sort of the evolution of amenity kits offered by Continental Airlines and its successor, the new United Airlines. And this one on the far left is Continental in its original business first cabin branding. And this is a brand new kit. It's never been opened before. I found it in its original plastic packaging. And you can see it offers a number of business first branded items. Now if we move to the early United era post-merger amenity kits, slightly smaller, it contains many of the same sorts of items. Well, this particular kit is from a slightly later time, I believe, but this is actually for the global first cabin, a step above business. And it contains some special items like this wooden comb that's branded with United Global First. And then finally, this is a bit of a special edition. United, which is the official airline of the PGA Tour, briefly produced this amenity kit, which includes socks with a very unique pattern, as well as some golf-specific items, some golf balls and tees, plus all of the traditional items that one would normally find in an amenity kit. And now I wanted to focus on pins and buttons, basically anything that can be worn on one's clothing. And we start with some old-fashioned plastic wings that are often provided to children in flight. One is from Continental Airlines and another one is from Delta Airlines with sort of the slightly retro early 2000s, maybe late 90s era logo. And then we see another Continental or United logo. This is definitely from the Continental era, with the words international on it. And this would have been worn by an international cabin service employee. And then we have an employee service pin from Delta. This is from, I believe, 30 or 35 years. And it's got a diamond surrounded by two stones. These are provided to employees upon reaching service milestones 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years. And each one has a different number of stones. And we have a couple of buttons from the brief period in which Delta Airlines had entered bankruptcy and U.S. Airways was pursuing a hostile takeover. And the employees, the board of directors and management at Delta Airlines pushed back hard and ultimately won the fight to keep Delta independent. And finally, we have some very special pins that correspond to the pilot corps at Delta. On the left, we have the pin that would be worn by a first officer, and on the right, a pin that would be worn by a captain, as well as the emblem that you will find on a pilot's hat. And now I wanted to take a brief detour towards Texas and the city of Houston. And we have a couple of items of interest there. One is a deck of cards that would have been provided to passengers in flight with the old Delta logo and slogan. And this one is city specific, and it has scenes from the city of Houston, the Astrodome, NASA, the ship channel, maybe the Jones Hall, the Wortham Center, and the statue of Sam Houston, which is found in Herman Park. And we have this little cowboy hat fashioned item, which commemorates the beginning of 707 cargo service between Houston and Paris on Air France. And we'll end this session now by showing a couple of unique items. One is a bag that would have been used to carry company material in flight on Delta Airlines. It says specifically here, to remain on board. And then another one is a cutting board, and you can see this is a well-worn, well-used cutting board that also would have been used in flight. So next, let's take a look at my in-flight cutlery collection. This is a fork from aboard Delta Airlines. We also have soup spoons. And then finally, a very special part of the collection, we have a set of utensils that would have been used on Air France on the supersonic jet known as the Concorde in the 1960s. These were designed by, well, famous designer Raymond Loewy. You can see they have Air France written on the handle, and they're quite small by today's standards. But they're an absolutely beautiful set of cutlery.